Michelle is a musician with albums released as Everyone Except Me and artist behind the post-apocalyptic webcomic Stray Cats. She's kind, a bit shy, and furiously creative. Henrique is a filmmaker with over 24 films and TV shows as producer, director, and occasionally host. He also released a couple of music albums. He's bombastic, larger than life, and tenacious almost to a fault. Together, they've been best friends for a decade. This show is awkward.
Well, so the show starts with Hen Wolf barking, which is always a good sign. I have no idea what she's barking at. I hope it's Federal Express.
Me too.
I don't know why it would be Federal Express. I have nothing coming via Federal Express. But I feel like I very seldom get any bad things from Federal Express. So I hope it is. Anyway, that threw me completely. I had a whole flow ready. After 2 weeks off from doing the show, I was ready to get right back into exactly the way it normally is. And then Hen Wolf threw it, you know?
Yeah.
So, Michelle.
Yes.
How have you been? It must be hard. Was it hard not being embarrassed on the show for 2 whole weeks?
I mean, yeah, but we did double the embarrassment the week earlier, so it all worked out.
Okay, good. I mean, that's the way you hope it'll go.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those who don't know, I went on a little vacation and then immediately came back and did my first movie expo since the COVID-19 pandemic. And which went fine. I did the Horror Hound weekend in Cincinnati, Ohio. Wasn't a bad experience. I had a pretty good time. We made a little bit of money. Attendance obviously was not what it normally would be. I think that makes sense. I couldn't really fault anybody who didn't want to go. It made sense to me. I was ready to rock. I was ready to go. I needed to get out there and see. But yeah. So what I'm getting at is, boy, am I tired. Boy, has there been a lot going on since I got back.
Yeah.
And actually today, one of the things I was doing today, it just got canceled like right before the show. And I was like excited because that means I have like enough time to like cook a lunch and mow my lawn. And then I'll have more things to do. But at least there's that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out to a cabin in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of my favorite type of escape is that. And it was relatively uneventful. I just spent like every day on the kayak and, eating sandwiches and going on the kayak and watching movies at night and having campfires.
Sounds good.
And then on the last night, I think it was the second to last night. I am almost certain we heard a black bear in the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's the thing. We're just sitting at the campfire and we're just chilling, well, not really. We're actually getting warm, because of the fire, but we're just hanging out. And all of a sudden we hear all of the dogs. There's like farms nearby, but they're pretty far away. The cabin's on like a good 27 acres. We start hearing these dogs barking in the distance, dogs we've heard bark before, but not at this amount. They're just barking and barking and barking and barking and barking and barking and barking. And we're like, man, what is making them bark so much? Like, why are they going so crazy? Usually they just bark a little bit and they stop.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still barking and they're still barking and they're still barking. And the house is on like a little valley. So sound really travels.
Yeah. So
we hear this barking and it keeps barking. So we're just kind of like, that's weird. And at one point, we were kind of like, maybe we should be prepared for, if something's nearby. So we're like, yeah. So then we hear some more barking. And then all of a sudden in just the wood area where the barking is coming from, we just hear a little, and I remember I was like, was that a cow? Like it kind of like at first that was the first thought. I was like, is that a cow? Cause but there are no cows over there anymore. There used to be a cow farm next to that place. Cause I've been renting a cabin there for years. So there used to be cows. There aren't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Also, why would a cow just wander the woods?
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there. Maybe you're hearing ghost cows?
Okay, first of all, if cows are capable of producing ghosts, then there are so many ghost cows that we just don't even care.
Well, maybe most ghost cows like don't make their presence known to humans, but this ghost cow is angry and it wants revenge.
Because it was killed in a drunk driving accident and it wants revenge.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like you watch an anime or read a manga just about that.
I guess. I mean, I'm not that into cows, so
Really? You were kind of misleading me then. I'm starting to think you are a little bit. But so I was like a cow or whatever, and I was trying not to overreact. And then Rachel just looks at me and goes, "It sounds like a black bear." So we just both like calmly gathered our stuff up and stopped being separate, by the way, like stopped separating from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like both went into the house and got a pot of water and both came out and put the fire out. And we're just going inside. The area is not known for having a bunch of black bears, but when I Googled it the next day, I mean, they've had black bear sightings for years and years in that area.
Yeah.
The house has no like bear preparedness to it, but it's like it's a cabin made by hunters. So that makes me think that like black bears are really not a huge problem out there, but that doesn't mean that we want to be outside when we know one's nearby. I mean,
exactly.
You know, especially because they can be really aggressive at this time of year because they're getting ready to hibernate.
Mm-hmm.
So might have been a black bear. It sure sounded like a black bear. I mean, the deep guttural groans and just the dog reaction. So, and then here's the reason I think especially it was a black bear or it was some kind of dangerous animal. Here's why. It's not hunting season here yet, right?
Okay.
The next day, we're on the lake and I hear within about 10 seconds of each other, 2 high caliber gunshots and then no more gunshots for the rest of the day. Which makes me think that because it's a community of like Amish farmers and regular farmers right there. It makes me think that they either waited till morning and went out and hunted this thing and killed it. Or that they waited till morning and called the game warden and said like, hey, this, whatever it is, bear, coyote, whatever, got like into my farm. I need permission to kill it, or you need to come and take care of it because it's dangerous. Because it was really like, usually we hear almost no gunshots, which is unusual for most of the country, you know, being out in the country, but in that part of the country, we almost never hear gunshots, and they were high caliber, like big booming shots. So I think that whatever it was, they hunted the next day, probably because it was dangerous.
I hope that's what it was. I hope it's not that the bear
has a gun. Oh God! I'm so glad that we got away from there. But oh God, what if while we were sleeping, the bear? What if while we were sleeping, the bear like checked our wallets and like wrote down our addresses?
You know, they do that. I've heard stories, so you need to be careful. I don't know how long it takes a bear to get from where you were to where you are, but they're coming.
Probably a really long time, so I should be ready.
Yeah.
So, what is that poor dog barking at?
I don't know.
Just neighbor stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
oh, actually, no. There's a dog across the street, and he's barking at that dog, and they're talking. Yeah.
Okay, good. So no black bear? Are you sure?
No. Well, unless... Too bad they didn't do this before when you were talking about barking.
I know, right? They missed their cue.
Yeah.
But no, so we were just like, yeah, it was a little startling, I'm not going to lie. But black bear are generally not super dangerous. But again, like, why would I want to, you know, purposely be around one, though?
Yeah, no,
You know,
that's okay.
That'd be a bad idea. So that was the most excitement we had, because generally the wildlife experience out there is very, very minimal. Like maybe there's a squirrel or a raccoon, you know, not a lot of coyotes out there. Although we, because we're so far into the woods, we store our garbage 100 feet away from the house. So, so that, you know, if something wants to steal food from it, that doesn't encourage them to be near the house. So, I mean, that's what I assume is why they do it. Or maybe they just like making me walk when I take garbage out.
That's what it is.
Those bastards. Those goddamn bastards. So, but no, so overall, it was a good trip. It was a good visit. How long does that dog cross the street? over there.
What do you mean?
You said it was a dog across the street? Oh, you mean they're like in the backyard?
Oh, no. So there's one in the backyard, and he was communicating with a dog across the street.
Was the dog passing by, or does the dog live across the street?
I don't know. I just heard it that way. They like to talk to each other.
Oh.
So he's got to be done soon because the other dog stopped talking.
Yeah.
So
it's just like, I love dogs barking at each other because it's like, hey, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. It's like, hey, I'm a dog too. I'm also a dog. Dog. That's kind of what it's like.
Yeah.
Henwolf won't even bark at other dogs most of the time anymore. She's just like done unless they do something she doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Like walk toward her or away from her, or really any decision that she didn't choose for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so good trip, came home, and yeah, that was basically like everything else was pretty uneventful, which is a good thing when you're trying to relax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, watched some cool movies late at night. Spent like, I always say, like, I don't know if I'll spend the whole trip on the lake this time because I feel like I'll get bored. And I always spend the whole trip on the lake. Like the whole 3 days is just like on the lake until sunset and then get out of the lake before it's nighttime because nature turns scary at night. So get away from the lake at night.
Does the lake, sorry.
No, what? Does the lake what?
Does the lake have like any things? Like, does it have dragonflies or frogs?
It is maggoty with both.
Yay!
So where we launch our kayaks into the water, the whole time we're like trying to watch it because there are like literally hundreds of tiny miniature frogs like growing up, and we're trying not to step on them. And fireflies were mating like nobody's business while we were there. This was the latest we'd ever been there. This was the beginning of September. So we usually come in the middle of August, but this year there was no time it wasn't available. So we booked it in September, right before my birthday. And, yeah, there were like dragonflies everywhere. The pond I call it a lake because it's 4 acres. It's very large. But I guess technically it's a pond, but it's very, very large. It's also full of fish and turtles.
Cool.
Although you could rarely see the turtles from the boat. You usually see them when you're on the dock. You'll see like a turtle swimming way out. The fish, though, it's a catch and release fishing hole. So there's lots of fish. And if you are standing on the dock, some of the fish will swarm because they know that sometimes they get treats and they get fed from the dock. Yeah. So, and it's really fun because I don't know if you know this, but fish love cat food.
Oh.
They do. Very much. So you throw cat kibble into the water and they'll all swarm and start nibbling it up. And one year, the owner of the cabin actually left the bag of cat food out for us and said, like, if you guys want to feed my fish, I'd appreciate it. And it's kind of fun. So we did. We fed the fish and it was really fun. But if you just keep throwing like handfuls out, eventually the giant fish, that the really mature fish that are kind of hiding will start coming out of hiding into the shallow spot to start getting some of the fish food too. Cool. It's pretty cool. It's super cool. So, and the thing I really like about that lake is, so it's fed from a stream, like that's, it's a man-made lake and it's fed from a stream. So we had just had a lot of rain. So the water levels were pretty high. So we were able to kayak out of the lake area and in toward the stream area, which is like literally a swamp. It's literally a bog because it's where the water kind of just meets earth and fills up, and it's really fun to kayak through those spots.
Cool.
And it's also really funny because like I'd get stuck and be like, oh god, my boat's stuck. I got to figure out how to stick it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, the water is 1.5 feet deep here, like because in the lake it's like 20 feet deep. But when we're going through the little like canal, it's maybe 2 feet of water.
Wow.
So it's like, oh, I guess worst case I could just get out and push, but I'd rather not get gross nature water on me. But it is, so it's really fun and it's really beautiful in the boggy part. So, I mean, you can see where the flowers are blooming. Like you could literally at certain times of day, you can see where the sun perfectly cuts through the tree cover and how like the flowers all blossom where the sun is hitting. Stuff like that's really cool. And then, of course, the other best part, which is the mysterious, like, branches moving and stuff, because there's stuff living in there and you don't know what it is. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Nature's scary. So, but so then I came back from vacation, and then the next day it was my 35th birthday, which I totally forgot to mention on the pre-recorded episodes we did for some reason that I was having. I think, or maybe I did mention it. I don't know. Leave me alone.
I think you did, but I don't know.
Well, and so Michelle got me a Weeb shirt, my first ever Weeb shirt. She got me a t-shirt with Senku and a bunch of the characters from Dr. Stone.
Yep.
So I'll be wearing that strictly in my own home. I look forward to wearing it in public so that other weebs can be like, you know, like that guy at the Chinese buffet who got all excited because he heard me talking about Dr. Stone. He was like, I'm sorry to eavesdrop, but that is a great manga and the anime is really good too. And I was like, thank you, stranger. I appreciate your input. So he was so nice. But anyway, so that's I just talked so much about my thing. What have you been up to, Michelle?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, I mean, you obviously you've been drawing your comic because there, you know, you've put out more comics. Come on, what have you been up to? Come on, spill it.
I don't know. Just been trying to get stuff done and stuff.
For your business. Michelle's trying to get everything done as soon as possible for her home inspecting business. So, do you want to tell everybody the name of it?
No.
Our Best Home Inspection. Yeah. So I was waiting for applause. Just, no, but yeah, Our Best Home Inspection. If you need your home inspected in Pennsylvania or New Jersey, soon she will be the best possible option.
Or I will at least be a possible option.
Soon we're going to have like ads at the beginning of the podcast for this show brought to you by Our Best Home Inspections, servicing Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Yeah. That's I mean, technically, if you want an inspection in PA, you can do that now. But
you hear that, folks? I know it's really stressful and it's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
So, but you're doing a good job.
Thanks.
That's the classic Michelle response. Thanks. At least see the dog's like, don't worry, I'll take over. Bark, 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 bark. But no, so so now you're getting ready to file the paperwork with New Jersey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because since the last time we spoke, you were worrying about getting your errors and omission insurance, and now you have it. So now you just got to file with the state of New Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I probably need like a certificate of insurance. So I was about to get that. Well, right before we did that, we started. So hopefully they'll just let me have it like now. Yeah. So I can go and get everything notarized and print out photos that I took of myself that are selfies, but don't look like selfies because I did a really good job of making them not look like selfies.
You did it.
So, I don't know. This stuff.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You are. You're doing a good job.
Thanks.
I'm sorry I had to compliment you.
That's okay.
Speaking of compliment, so while I was gone, we reached a milestone on the Weekly Spooky podcast. We hit episode 100. And to celebrate doing 100 episodes of Weekly Spooky, I did a episode 100 special, which is 2 parts, almost 2 hours of new podcast, and it had 10 authors. And part 2 just dropped, and it features your story.
Yep, it does.
And it's one of my favorites you've written.
Really?
Well, hear me out. First of all, everything is, in its own category, right? So I loved the story you wrote for Campfire Tales. I thought it really was a phenomenal young adult horror story. I really did. And I loved your Hanukkah Christmas story to Tiny Christmas, Iowa, which I really loved that one because it had a great sense of humor and it was weird and it was action packed and fun. But the reason I'm saying one of my favorites of yours, and you need to write more for the show. Oh, and you did Normal Shit was really good too. That's the one that just came out. Sorry. I sometimes have trouble keeping it all straight. I am so burnt out this week. I have been chasing my tail this entire friggin' week. But what I was going to say is one of the reasons I love your contribution to the weekly spooky special is you only had like 1,000 to 1,500 words to work with. So your story is spooky, but it's like boiled down to the basest elements of being creepy. So I remember when I was reading it, I was like, this feels almost like a story I would actually just like sit down and bullshit to somebody, like to creep them out. Like, because, like when you may know the story of Bloody Mary, or you may know the story of the hook for a hand or whatever. But if you're just sitting down with a friend with no like major preparation, you're just going to give them the hot deets that make them creeped out. You just like, you don't spend a lot of time with the flourish, which you can't when you only have like 1,000 words anyway.
Yeah.
So that's my point, is I remember when it was done, I was like, wow, that was just simply creepy. That was simply spooky. Ooh,
well, that's
simply spooky.
Sounds like another podcast.
I am not launching another goddamn podcast.
With slightly different
simply
types of,
spooky.
like not horror, but like slightly creepy stories.
I like it because I can just already have like the soundbite of the ooh, simply spooky. Maybe that's what we'll rebrand if we ever stop being weekly. Then we can be simply spooky. But speaking of rebrand, Weekly Spooky is hitting its second renaissance. Every Halloween season, every time the spooky season starts, Weekly Spooky kind of explodes. And it's happening right now. Listenership has tripled already. But that's already, it's not even October yet. So I'm very excited. Last year, listenership wasn't even tripled. It was like 15 times. So, but the fact that it's tripled when it's much higher than it was the year before is very exciting. So it's a very exciting time for Weekly Spooky because the audience has grown so much. And this year, the audience has grown so much and they're more interactive and more excited than last year. So it's been really fun. Like I'm getting fan letters on Instagram. I'm getting fan letters on the email account. And I've been getting some new Patreon backers, which is hugely appreciated. Really, really appreciate it. Especially as I prepare to have to pay for natural gas this winter.
You're going to find out.
Oh, God.
It's not that expensive.
But no, it's just like, it's just damn dogs. Oh, he's a cute dog though. You don't like that dog?
No.
Shaking your head. You have to live next to it, barking all the time.
I just don't like their dogs.
Ouch. Everybody heard it here first. But no, so just a big milestone, 100 episodes of Weekly Spooky. Now, most of the people listening to this show are already avid Weekly Spooky listeners. But, if you're one of the people who listens to the show every week and you've never listened, spooky season might be a good time to just start listening just for the heck of it, to get creeped out or whatever. The cool thing is, so I was at that convention, that horror movie convention in Cincinnati, and I brought business cards. And after every sale or every just successful interaction, every time I like hung out and talked with somebody for a minute and we had a good rapport, I would say, oh, by the way, and I'd give them a business card with the info and I'd tell them what it was. And they always, first I'd say, are you into podcasts? If they said not really, then I wouldn't bother, bugging them with it.
Here, try anyway.
Well, I might say like, well, if you get a chance, I have one. You might like it. It's got scary stories. But if they said yes, then I give them like the whole like, well, this is every week a brand new short horror story narrated. And you might really enjoy it. And people got excited. They liked the concept. So it's funny because we're 100 episodes in. And I'm still like, people are just discovering it. People are just finding out about it. And I'll tell you, though, perception is helped immensely by the fact that we have 100 episodes. When I tell them like we just celebrated our 100th episode, their eyes always got really wide and they're like, wow, awesome.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up almost always is, do I need to start from the first one? And I'm like, no, you could literally listen to them in any order you want. What people are telling me they're doing right now is they're listening to the newest episode and then they're listening to the back catalog until another new episode comes out. Then they listen to the newest. Then they just keep listening to the back catalog.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of the more popular podcast apps, that's how they're presenting podcasts now. is you get the newest always first, the one that just published, and then it just auto plays the older ones unless you tell it not to. And I had one guy tell me that he listened to 17 episodes in 1 week. Like he was like, I'm up to episode 17. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I'm so happy that people are discovering it. Because both of these podcasts are extremely passion projects for me. Yeah, I mean, that's just the truth. So, and Weekly Spooky is something I very much believe in, and I very much think, everybody should listen to. And then this show is all Michelle. Michelle is in charge of all of the PR.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So 100 episodes of Weekly Spooky. Please check it out if you get a chance. If you're listening to this, you probably already know how to find it. You can go to weeklyspooky.com or just punch Weekly Spooky into your podcast app that you're like using right now. So speaking of spooky season, Michelle, are you ready for 4 weeks of October episodes where you're in a Halloween costume?
No. I mean, unless you just want me to wear a blanket over myself and I'll just be like, not here. That's my Halloween costume.
Now, Michelle, how many times before we start the show have I told you have to take the blanket off? Now you're trying to turn it into a bonus. You're like, what if I wear this blanket you never let me wear over my whole body during the show?
I don't understand what the problem is.
It defeats the purpose of having a video podcast.
Don't know
video
what
portion.
My blankets look like. It's good enough, right?
So, what I wanted to talk about was, so spooky season's coming up, and I don't know if you remember, but last year for me, the Halloween season actually ended up being really nice. We had just a boatload of trick-or-treaters. It was crazy how many trick-or-treaters we had. And I ended up being able to have a good time. I mean, it is what it is. Even with I'm going to Cleveland for Cinema Wasteland at the start of October. So that makes life like a fifth feel more normal. That I'm going to the convention out there. Yeah. But we're still a ways away from I used to do 5 cities in October. And this year I have one to travel to.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining. It is what it is. I'm not mad about it. It's just, it's important to show the dichotomy of I used to have everywhere to go in October. So last year I tried to turn a negative into a positive and be like, well, since there's a zero reason to travel in October was last year, I put all of the effort into Halloweening my house and giving myself a fun costume. I was Dr. Giggles, which I was very proud of that costume because I incorporated my mask. So it was so it didn't take you out of it.
Yeah.
And I put everybody's candy in little individual wrapped bags so that they could just take it. They didn't have to there didn't have to be a ton of interaction between anybody and, just trying to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
But it ended up being great. I remember being shocked how happy I was on Halloween night, and also how surprised I was that Halloween night was Beggars Night, because in the Midwest we assign trick or treat night, unlike you heathens who just trick or treat whenever the 31st happens.
I mean, sure, you adding more laws and stuff. That's always good.
I don't even know if it's a law. I don't even know if it's an ordinance. I don't even know what it is. I think because it's not even published on it's just the news says what are the Beggars Night days? I mean, I'm sure the cops are like, what are you doing when you're in your Halloween costume on on August 15th? You're like, what? Mind your own business, pig. But they haven't published the Beggars Night dates here yet, but it looks like for the majority of the area, it's just going to be Halloween night again.
Is Halloween Sunday?
Yeah, it's on Sunday. So generally, this is why I'm not going to pretend Beggars Night is a great thing or smart in all these ways. But one of the ideas they claim for why they do Beggars Night is that way one night is for the kids and one night is for the Halloween parties. That's been their attitude. So there's one night where all the kids are running around, and then there's a whole other night that's just for the Halloween parties and yada, yada, yada. That's the claim. Usually Beggars Night is the night before Halloween. But here's the thing, Michelle. So the original concept behind Beggars Night that made it kind of cool as a kid was early on, it was very simple. Beggars Night was always the night before Halloween. Always. Always. So that meant that in a way you got double Halloween. because you had the night before Halloween was when you'd run around the neighborhood getting candy, and then Halloween Day was Halloween Day when you got to like watch scary movies and eat candy and dress up. And like, you know, if you were in school, you would dress up for Halloween at school.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. But then at some point later on, it became the township's choosing beggars night to the point where it was like, oh, it might be, you know, the Thursday before Halloween on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be like, why is it on the 29th? Now that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen.
Uh-huh.
So, but lately they've been just having Halloween beggars night be on Halloween.
You know, it does save work because they don't have to think about what day would be good. It's just like, oh, the day that's Halloween.
Well,
I guess.
Here's the other thing that's annoying about beggars night, because I need to mention it's township by township. So like often, like last year, it was like beggars night is October 31st, 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 31st. And it was like, oh, except for that place, it's 28, you know, or it's 29. And then 31st, 31st, 31st. So like there's always outliers too, where it's like they do trick or treat on a friggin' totally different day. But often they would do beggars night on like a Thursday if Halloween was on Saturday. And it'd be like, yeah, or Halloween was on a Friday, then beggars night would be Thursday or Wednesday. And you're like, why can't it be on the weekend? Like they just don't, I don't know exactly why, but they would like be avoiding it. So that's why I'm curious, because since Halloween is on Sunday, I doubt they would put beggars night on Friday or Saturday. I feel like they would just do it on Sunday.
Maybe.
But I don't know, because that's the other thing is they wait forever to choose it. Sometimes they wait till the 1st of October to tell you when beggars night is. So, and I know it's silly. Don't get me wrong. I'm not really defending it. Although as a kid, I liked it when it was just when it was simple, when it was just an official thing where it was like, oh no, the night before Halloween is just when you trick or treat. But now that it's become, sometimes it's 2 nights before Halloween, or it's on Halloween, but only if it's on a Sunday or a Friday or a Thursday or whatever. I hate that. I hate that it's become so complicated.
Yeah.
I liked when I could just know that like, oh, we hand out candy the night before Halloween, or oh, we go get candy on the night before Halloween. That was fun.
Yeah.
It felt like its own event. Like Halloween and beggars night were married together, but they were 2 different events. Now, not so much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like any of that. And also the night before Halloween.
Jesus. Well, you don't like fun anyway.
No. But the night before Halloween is mischief night. And that's where all the bad kids go out and smash your pumpkins. So that was an event in and of itself, because you have to bring your stuff inside and hide from the bad kids. So
adorable of you to think that beggars night and mischief night did not coincide completely in Ohio. They did. No, that was actually some people think that that's another reason we went with beggars night was to try to kind of offset mischief night a little bit. By, having kids out to trick or treat. Yeah, there's mischief night for sure. But anyway, I don't hate deeply beggars night, but I'm not in love with it. Like I would be if they just did away with it and just started saying beggars night is always on Halloween now, the end, I would be totally okay with it. Or if they said beggars night is officially always the 30th, I would be fine with it. That would make me happy too. I just don't like that I'm like waiting to find out when I'm going to do handing out candy, because I love handing out candy. And I have a tradition when I hand out candy. Very simple tradition. I get the candy together. I deck the house with a fog machine on a timer by my door, so there's always fog at my door. I put on a scary movie. Usually it's one of the Halloween movies with Michael Myers, or it's like Trick or Treat. It's something Halloween-y that I like to rewatch. I don't put on anything I've not seen already, because I know I'm going to be up and down, up and down. This neighborhood, every year, there's tons more kids than the year before. So you got to be ready for Halloween. My house is covered in Halloween lights, so the kids know trick or treat that house, So I have my big bag of my big bowl of candy with a bag of candy, the auxiliary candy, waiting and standing by. And the kids trick or treat, and the kids trick or treat, and the kids trick or treat. It's generally between 6 and 8 is when most of the trick or treating happens. So I hand out candy. And then once I hit around 7:40, 7:50 or so, once the trick or treaters start to really die down, oftentimes they don't trick or treat very late because the kids are very young in this neighborhood. They're very young. Like there are very few 11 and 12, 13-year-olds. They're mostly like, we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids. So they're pretty much done by 7:30.
Yeah.
Once the trick-or-treating dies down enough, then I order a Papa John's pizza, because they have the pizza that's shaped like a jack-o'-lantern. Spoiler alert, tastes like a totally normal pizza.
Oh,
and the best part about it is not only is it just a novelty, but it comes uncut. You have to cut it yourself.
Oh.
So that's the way they are with their specialty pizzas, like the heart pizza and stuff. You have to cut it yourself.
But they're just like, I don't want to try to do this.
They're like, we don't know what you want out of this.
Yeah, well, you got to do it.
I think it's because of social media, though. Because people order like the heart pizzas or order the pumpkin. They want to take a picture and put it on Instagram or whatever. So, but if it's cut up, it doesn't quite look right. Okay, so I think that's why they let you cut it yourself, so you can get a picture of it or enjoy it's a novelty. You go to hell and you die. So, so I order a pumpkin pizza and I order an order of chicken wings, and that is my we handed out all the candy. I eat the food, and then I watch like something new or something scary or really whatever's on my mindset. This year, the Shudder Network, the network that has like Joe Bob Briggs and everything, they're doing so much new stuff for Halloween. So I'm kind of just prepared for that's probably what I'm going to be watching is Shudder.
Cool. I got to figure out what I'm doing. I guess I'm just going to read Reddit stories.
Oh, scary Reddit stories?
Yeah, it's time to get back into those, I guess.
No sleep, r/no sleep.
I like the ones where they could be real.
Oh, like
so
Let's Not
read
Meet?
those are upsetting.
Yeah.
So let's not meet, and I'll like look at our paranormal, and there won't be anything good. Yeah. So
I identify with all that you've just said very much. So not that you have Shudder or that I share my Shudder login with you, but Shudder has a thing in the Halloween season called the Ghoul Log, which is like a Yule log, the Yule log, but it's a jack-o'-lantern with a like creepy music and ambience. So just so you know, you might want to throw that on your TV if you're not watching it, like while you're reading scary stories or whatever.
I like that.
It's really fun.
That's cool.
And every year they do a different one. Like it's a different cutout pumpkin and a different like atmosphere. Like one year they did it, but it was on like a city street. And every now and then there were shadows like in the background and stuff.
Cool.
And then even better, if you really like the Ghoul Log thing, they have all of the previous year's Ghoul Logs. So you can actually watch them all or put them all on in the background.
At the same time.
Yeah. But they have a channel that just streams the Ghoul Log. So you're not on demand, but it's just a loop. So you can put that on if you want. I would put that on, but I like watching movies because sometimes the trick-or-treaters are a long way between, and I'm not going to sit and read on Halloween like some kind of psychopath.
Oh, I wasn't going to read on Halloween. I just meant it's time to start.
Bust it out.
Yeah.
Get in the spooky spirit. Mm-hmm. Spooky spirit. So, so I am very excited because next Saturday from when this airs on the 25th of September, Elvira's coming back on Shudder for 4 movies. She's going to host 4 movies on Saturday night. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
It's for her 40th anniversary as Elvira. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So, you ever watch Elvira? I mean, you know who she is because she's become a part of the culture. So I'm really excited to watch that. And shockingly, dude, she still looks really great, and she's like 60.
Good for her.
I mean, but she looks like when she started the show, she was like 22 or some shit. She looks great.
Good.
So yeah, good on her. So. I mean, not all of her is 60 years old. Some of her is a lot younger. That's her own joke. I'm not even making fun of her. But so I'm glad that you're getting ready for spooky season. Yeah. So, and do you get a lot of kids in the neighborhood or?
We did, but last year, Upper Darby had trunk or treat in the parking lot of the school, the high school, and that's really close by. Mm-hmm. So we lost a lot of people to that.
They died?
Yeah, because they went there and they thought it was going to be cool, but then, I don't know, something bad happened that's seasonal, but not a shooting, but something seasonal and bad.
Something seasonal and bad.
Like they were all sacrificed. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that works. That's good. That's good stuff.
Thanks for listening. You can email us at thisshowis awkward@gmail.com or go to awkwardshow.com or whatever. See you next time.